Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt
And
Roast.
I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
We are here with our reaction and review for the Vampire Lestat Season 3, Episode 4.
Mhm.
We have some real payoff on a couple of things in this episode that does give real momentum to the next part of the season. Like, for a lot of this, I have been sitting back and being like, yes, it is fun seeing Lestat out here being a rock star, having
Yes.
his moments, singing to Louis, like all of this, but where is it actually going? Like, what are we building towards? And it's like, finally, I think we have an answer now.
We absolutely do. And we have even more answers just on Lestat's background with his mom. I felt like this story was over and that I had maybe gotten everything I needed to get out of this story. But they actually showed me that that's not the case. There was definitely more from this story that I needed to know of why Lestat really is the way he is with his mom.
And she has also made me angry in this episode. Very, very angry. And I mean,
Her motivations confuse me so much.
yeah, I think we are at a point in this season where we have to ask, like, are there certain elements of the story that are completely working? I think this show has had some amazing monologues, some
Mhm.
really, really outstanding character moments. Like, Sam Reed has been nothing short of phenomenal, but I don't like seeing Lestat get pulled in all these different directions, and I don't fully understand, other than Gabriella not having power at a certain point in her life and her finding power and liberation as a vampire. Does that mean that you have to go to some of the links that you are apparently now going? Like, it's an interesting question to dive into.
But before we go any further, be sure to hit that subscribe button and stick with us for the rest of season 3 of the Vampire Lestat. We've really appreciated your support here at the channel, watching the show with us, all your comments, joining our memberships. It really means the world to us.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. And we also want to thank our sponsor in Oxnet Clothing.
Mhm.
This clothing that Jess and I are wearing, it is Oxnet. These designs are retro inspired. They are cool. They are snazzy. They have a lot of just different colors.
Comfy.
They're unbelievably comfortable, guys. Like, these are some of the most comfortable shirts that I have ever owned, and you just
Yep.
feel good when you're wearing them. We have a discount code of Matt and Jess TV for 15% off, and you check out the link in the description of this video. You can go over to Oxnet and check out all of their products. Thank you so much to Oxnet
you.
for partnering with us here at the channel.
Okay, let's just stick with Lestat and his mom, because this background of getting a little bit deeper into this, because we know what happened when he took on the 8 wolves and she
Yes.
was there doing her thing and then calling over the housemaid to finish it off. They were still both human. And that was something that Lestat even brought up in the past, where they were, she was fresh vampire, his fledgling. She's with another man. They're having this talk where he's like, you did this and started this and opened this door with me and then left it. It was something that changed him entirely, as it would any son that has their mom do something like that to them, to bring them up to this point and then just kind of drop it out of nowhere. For it to then become as intimate as it did, in a way that was more like love and less like, let's just get into bed and have at it. This moved Lestat in a headspace that he has never been able to get out of, where it was like, it's us against everyone. We are just going to make everyone vampires. We are going to make sure that there's a whole bunch of us, a whole, group that we can be part of, that we won't be lonely, and it'll be you and me. We're going to be at the top of this forever. Cool. See you in the nighttime. And he flips open her boat and she is gone. And I was just like, okay. So she did this to him with the wolves, where she started something, left. Here again, where he thinks that they're like really intimate, that there's a love. She even says, I love you. It's like, it could have been like this beautiful, romantic, passionate moment if it wasn't what it is,
Yeah.
right? But for Lestat, that was his first real sort of like passionate moment, opening of himself with this person. So, and he was so young and he's never been able to get through it. And watching him throughout these episodes, he cannot move on. He can't.
No, and that is what makes Gabriella as a character, to me, so unlikable in the sense.
So dangerous.
Yeah, like she is so manipulative to Lestat. You know, she takes advantage of the fact that this is somebody who is her son, you know, a quote unquote favorite son. And there's like an element of pressure that goes along with that. And she's able to get him in this position that he is so emotionally vulnerable. And I think one of the very interesting things that this season is diving a lot into is, are you a different person down to a cellular level when you are a vampire versus when you are a person? And I think Lestat, yeah, he's a little different as a vampire, but they did a good job of showing, even in flashbacks, that there was always a part of this in him. Whereas Gabriella, I know some of this was societal for her, where she was forced into a different position as a mother than who she really was. But she is so fundamentally different as a vampire, and I think that's how she is able to see her relationship with Lestat, and she's able to sort of push her own different agendas because she has shifted herself to this dramatic degree that she sort of feels like nobody should have to go through what I went through as a mortal. Being immortal just sucks. Being immortal, that is the way to go.
Yeah, I think that this story with Lestat and his mom is very relatable to a lot of people out there. Take out the intimacy part of it.
Mhm.
The feeling of you want to impress your parents. You want your
Yes.
parents to be proud of you. You know, want approval from your parents. Even in some of the most dysfunctional, relationships with parents and their children, there's just this deep-seated need to have your parents' approval on things. Then you add in this intimacy level that she introduced to their relationship, and I think it heightens it to a way that we've seen even Lestat with his relationships with like Louis and Claudia, that he is unable to open the doors in a way that he might have been able to move through if he never had this happen with his mom, that is controlling a lot of his intimacy and his vulnerability.
She's also controlling him in a way where he doesn't see logic the same way that he would
No.
otherwise. And like we have just such a distinct example. Like he's already getting near the end of his tour, you know, in his brilliant mind here. He talks about almost getting bored with it. He wants to finish it up, see it through. Then we have the big dramatic attempt on his life,
Yeah.
you know, to prove that he is a vampire. All of this stuff goes down. I think Lestat knows it's not a good idea to continue to do this. There's all these problems.
His band doesn't want to continue.
No, like, and why in the world would they? Like, he has a logical sense of what is the right thing to do. And then in comes Gabriella pushing her own viewpoint. She's very much about this idea where vampires effectively, not to go like full mustache twirling villain here, but it's just they want to take over the world. They can operate things. They can limit humanity. Like they can have humanity basically do whatever they want. And she is pushing this thinking to a point where Lestat, because he is in this very unfortunate position under his mother, he just doesn't see the logic anymore. And he is putting himself, everyone around him at greater risk, and it's setting up to be just an unmitigated disaster, guys.
Yeah, I mean, she's really pushing him to get the band back together,
Yeah.
get into the studio, be as famous as you can, because the more music you've been making, the more vampires you are reaching. And while some of them, of course, are like, oh, he shouldn't be talking about us, there's lots of vampires out there like, oh, somebody sees us, which is what music does, right?
Yeah.
I mean, us as humans hear certain songs and we're like, oh my God, why am I crying in a shoe store to Fergie? It's happening on Saturday, yesterday.
Oh.
Sometimes you get those songs
Yeah, I
and you're
know.
just like, big girls don't cry, and you're crying in a store over a shoe. But then here it is
Yes.
with Lestat, and he's really empowering people, other vampires, to get out there and do their own thing, make more vampires. And he knows that it's not right.
Yeah.
And he knows that eventually that if there's more vampires than people, that's going to be a problem. That's the food source, right? So
Yeah.
if the food source dries up, then what ends up actually happening to people? And that's where I get my confusion about Gabriella, where I'm kind of like, I see your idea that you want vampires to be in charge. So you need to have sort of less humans than vampires so that you can kind of have that power. But if you're having, more vampires and less births, and you're not having enough food? What happens to you? You all die. Like, this plan isn't great.
Well, yeah, she's so obsessed with this idea that just feels like maybe in her head it sounds great. Maybe she just thinks, I don't know, we can just keep a bunch of humans to serve as food supply, but it's just so problematic for the very reason you specified. Like, here's the other problem that I don't know why she doesn't see is that, yeah, you want to make more vampires great, but at the same time, that's assuming every vampire feels the same way as you, because from where we are right
Hmm.
now, there's pretty much three distinct schools of thought. You have the Gabriella side. I think you have the vampires who just kind of, I don't want to say they don't care, but they're not out here, professing strong opinions one way or another. Like we have a lot of vampires like that. And then we have Armand, who Armand's just firing on all cylinders in this episode. I love Armand in this episode because
He's so complicated. He's a really fascinating
he's a
character.
really fascinating character because he knows, because he is, we must follow all of the vampire rules at all times. We must make sure that all these things don't happen. He's out here preaching this way of thinking, and I am sitting back and feeling like, you know what, Armand, you're probably right. But I think another problem is, though, if Armand is the person out here saying your message, I think you've kind of caused a problem in itself.
Yeah, I mean, he's a really powerful vampire. He's been around a long time. He's a sad sack.
Yes.
He is a tough vampire to be following and listening to his word, even if he's right. It's, like Lestat, where he's got lots of charisma, lots of people are listening, lots of vampires are listening. Everybody wants a piece of this. You put Armand out there. I mean, he was in the audience and he's just getting like railed with this diss track, and no one's going to listen to what Armand has to say, even though he's right.
Well, this is the thing. It's that because he can be at times cowardly and because he can kind of internalize a lot of stuff, there's no trust that's built in with that.
Oh,
Also, Armand, you are a sneak. You have betrayed people.
Yes.
You have lied.
yes.
You have done all these terrible things, even for us as viewers. Like, we're watching this episode. Armand, we get the big reveal. He's at the meeting because he's apparently going through the steps. And he goes,
So funny, so ridiculous.
it was ridiculous. Like, everything with him and Daniel was very entertaining. Everything with him going to Lestat, like, also entertaining. But I'm sitting back, and because I don't trust him, I'm sitting here being like, do you really mean any of this, Armand? Like, do you actually want to repent for anything? Or do you just feel like you can go, especially to somebody like Daniel, who understands the steps, and be like, I'm going through the steps, that he's just suddenly going to sympathize? Is this all a sympathy ploy, Armand?
Okay, I'm gonna put on my hard hat
All
because
right.
I actually think that he feels bad. And I know you guys are gonna be like, don't trust him, don't trust him. I don't trust him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like that conversation that he had with Lestat, where he was reading his letter and he's like, I didn't know if you were doing, holding this over my head because you were trying to hurt me or you were trying to do something else. And Lestat's like, oh no, I was trying to hurt you for a long time. I really wanted to hold this over your head, that I knew that you were behind everything that happened at the theater and that I could tell Louis at any time I wanted, so that you would be miserable for years on end, and that would make Louis miserable for years on end. Absolutely, I did this to hurt you. And I really took away from that Armand has been hurting about holding that secret, that he knew he did wrong at the theater and he didn't tell Louis himself, and Louis had to find out another way. And he was in an intimate relationship with them. They were partners for so long that, holding a big secret, like, I kind of organized you maybe dying and Claudia also dying. That was me. That is something that I think he does actually want to repent for.
I do think a lot of things for Armand come down to the question of, does Armand think he actually deserves any happiness? And that's what makes
I
him.
don't think he does think that. He's
Yeah.
such a sad sack. I think he thinks he deserves everything he's getting.
And I don't know if he can ever get out of that position. And that is what makes him different to me anyway, between him and Lestat and Louis, where I think these other characters, like, they're at least trying to pursue some sort of happiness or peace. That doesn't mean they're going to get it. Like, I'm not necessarily saying that Lestat's ever going to get it. He's been chasing this with the Rockstar Tour all season.
Yeah.
But Armand, he's just kind of adrift. He's done some really, really bad things. Does
Yes.
that make him the worst person slash vampire on the show? Not necessarily. And that's what makes it really,
It's
really.
Daniel.
What?
It's Daniel.
Okay, you and your
Listen,
thing.
Armand has done some terrible things. I'm
Yeah,
not going to pretend that he hasn't. Everybody on the show has done terrible things,
yeah.
but Daniel, oh my goodness. Listen, I was glad to see him tell off Armand because Armand shouldn't have done what Armand did to Daniel. Listen, I'm here defending this.
Oh,
I'm defending Daniel.
oh,
That,
right.
that shouldn't have happened to him. It wasn't what he wanted. It's not his choice. And now he's stuck with it. So it was great to see Daniel tell him off, but I will never be a fan of Daniel. And I'm not sorry about it.
I will say the show acknowledged that he sounds like Anthony Bourdain in this episode. They have canonized what I have felt. I appreciate that. Yeah, I find Daniel fascinating. That doesn't mean I'm rooting for Daniel by any means.
That's how I feel about Armand. I
Okay.
think Armand is really fascinating, but I can't root for him. He's just done so many sneaky things,
Yeah.
and you just can never trust him. Because the minute that he's going to get really cowardly again, like
Yeah.
Jamie from Yellowstone, here's a crossover. I never thought that would happen. He'll just slip right back into it again.
This is my problem. There's a part of me that I don't like that I want to root for Armand. Like I actually
I
do.
know.
But I know that's
I
bad.
can't.
It's bad for me to feel that way because I know he's just going to hurt me.
He's manipulating us.
He really is. Okay, let's just get to the part of this episode I'm really questioning at this point, and this pains me because I adore Louis so much.
Oh,
Is
so much.
is the storyline working? Because him and Claudia slash I guess Regina now, the waitress, I did enjoy it, but it also felt like a completely different show. It doesn't have any connective tissue to me necessarily with everything that's going on with Lestat now in a couple of episodes.
Yeah, I think we'll get there.
I think we'll get there. It's hard to spend this much time watching this dynamic play out when it's just so different than everything else that we're kind of seeing. And I also just felt while watching it, the emotional stuff was great, but I did feel like by the end of this episode, we were going to get enough resolution to kind of be like, all right, this isn't over. It's going to continue to find a way to progress. I kind of wish they had saved that last part of the storyline for the next episode so we came out of this wondering a little bit more.
Yeah, I wish that they'd actually expanded a little bit more on how Louis was feeling. They said it kind of in one sentence where it was like, I thought I was going to be satisfied taking Bruce out, but I'm not. The
Yeah.
revenge didn't satisfy me, as revenge doesn't do. I love revenge, but you know, the reason I like revenge stories is because it never satisfies anybody, and there's always more revenge to be had.
Yeah.
There's never enough. And that's where Louis ended up. He's like, okay, I took out Bruce. I don't feel satisfied because I've still lost Claudia. She's still gone. This person that I love so much. Like my heart still aches for her. And he's going to this diner over and over and over again to see Regina, to the point that we're at the end of this episode where she's like, all right, I've read this book. I get that I remind you of your daughter that you lost. How much is it gonna cost for me to like play this role for you? $1 million. Oh, okay. Hi, Daddy Lou. I was like, this is not where I want this to go. This is not gonna satisfy you, Louis. It's not.
No,
You can't pay somebody to pretend to be Claudia.
it's going to hurt him. And I think it's really just kind of comes down to this question of how long is it going to take? And this is the part of the story that, as much as I don't like it because I don't like seeing Louis hurt himself in this way, I think it's kind of relatable because we live in this era now where there's all this technology, there's all these sort of things that you can create this false image of instant gratification where you can sort of put yourself in this bubble where you think you're getting everything you want, but then it's all artificial. Like the bubble pops. This is not Claudia. It's going to end up
Right.
hurting him. I am with you. I wish they had spent more time dealing with him, understanding that his whole revenge mission didn't bring him any happiness, because that was the one part of this that was the most unpredictable.
Okay, I have my tinfoil hat on.
Okay.
Just so you guys know, we have not read the books. We
Yeah.
don't know what's coming up. So no spoilers, please. This is just, I'm throwing it out there.
Let's go.
Okay, we've also covered the Mayfair witches here, which
Yeah.
is all part of the same universe. I'm wondering if, because this cannot be satisfying for Louis
No.
to have this fake Claudia, faking an accent, being paid money to pretend to be Claudia. Is there a way to do, oh gosh, I hope this doesn't happen. I hate myself for even saying this, that there's going to be some sort of like Mayfair witches or some other witches crossover, maybe not the Mayfair witches, because that show, oh my god, man, wow, it was crap. That because there are witches in this universe, that maybe there's a way to like do some sort of seance way to like bring Claudia into Regina. And but I mean, that's really dark. I mean, Louis done some dark things too, to take away Regina and put Claudia back in that body. Or is it just, I want Claudia back so bad that I'm willing to have a Mayfair witches crossover?
Do you guys see what you have done to Jess?
Oh
You
my
have made
gosh.
her bring up a show that she's not even
I
like
take
to
it
talk
back.
about a
I take it all back. I
crossover.
take it all back.
No,
Listen, I just hope that Louis and Regina find a way to actually make a different kind of
Yes.
relationship that ends up working.
The reality here is that Louis needs to be hurt. And I don't like saying that because I like Louis, but he needs to understand that this is not right. This is not the way to go about it. They can form something different, but I think we're watching two characters now who fundamentally, they just want to skip over Go. They want the $200 right away, or in Regina's case, a lot more money than that, because I think he's thinking, I just want to instantly get Claudia back. And I think she's thinking, she's gone through a lot in her life, clearly, based on what we've heard.
Right.
This is an instant paycheck for her. She can leave this diner. She can just like go and completely skip over everything else, then be happy for the rest of her life. It's just, this is not going to work for either one of these people. And it's just, to me, the pacing of this storyline just didn't really fit all the time. It doesn't necessarily fit with everything else. Yeah, I think we'll get there. I think it could be fascinating if it is somebody like Lestat who is able to get through to Louis and tell him that this doesn't work. I hope we can analyze this a little bit better once it actually connects.
That's the thing, is there's nobody helping to put Louis in check right now on what is going on.
No.
His current partner's not there. He was like, yeah, I'm coming home, and then never came home. He's just been sticking here at this diner with Regina. And Lestat, who has more of an intimate relationship with Louis and Claudia, might be the person that's able to be like, what are you doing? Like, he's not always the voice of reason, but at the same time, he'd be like, this isn't Claudia. This is Regina. This isn't the same person. You have to go through your grief to get to the other side of it.
Yeah. So in the midst of what's going to be probably a very chaotic next few episodes of this show, because I think Lestat and Gabrielle are going to cause a ton of problems. I think some other vampires beyond Armand are going to have to show up and be like, okay, we need to shut some of this down. We also have this emotional undercurrent with Louis. Let's hope everything converges sooner rather than later. That is where we are, coming out of the Vampire Lestat season 3, episode 4. What did you guys think about this in totality? Is your heart breaking for Lestat, for Louis, for somebody else, for Armand? Let us know. And also hit that subscribe button so you do not miss any other coverage on the Vampire Lestat. We really appreciate your support.
Thank you.
We'll see you here next time.